Okay, it's 2012. Time for the 2012 rundown of my console collection. These consoles are not going to be listed in any particular order, and I'm not going to give long explanations about them. You can look them up on your own. Atari 400 home computer, Yabo NES clone, Atari 800 home computer, Magnavox Odyssey 2. This is an Atari Model C380. It is a pinball game, and it has like breakout games and stuff on it. A Sinclair ZX81, known in this country as the Sinclair 1000. Mattel Intellivision Mark 1, Mattel Intellivision Mark 2, Mattel Aquarius home computer, Atari Jaguar with Jaguar CD attachment, and next to that we have the Sega Genesis with the 32X, the Sega CD. This actually played 32X games, Sega Genesis games, Sega CD games, and Sega 32X CD games. Imagine that. NEC PC Engine, GCE Vectrex system, playing Minefield, had its own monitor. Texas Instruments TI 9948 home computer. PlayStation 3 Mark 1 60 gigabyte. Super Nintendo Entertainment System. A Japanese Sega Saturn. NEC TurboGrafx 16 Mark 1. Nintendo Virtual Boy. I have this. This is the iCover. I have it removed to keep it from getting dry and hard and crumbling to pieces. And it does look like that's the end of this room. Here we are in this room. This is a Microsoft Xbox. This is a Japanese Sega Dreamcast, NTSC-J, PlayStation 3 Slim. And of course, I'll just point out, of course, we have the Move and the Wii Motion Bar and the Kinect and the motion controls and the blah 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 and the Wrath of God there. Here's a Wii, Xbox 360. Now here's a curious device. This is a Pioneer CLD A100, and I will briefly touch on this one. This came with these packs that come in and out of here. This one has the Sega CD pack, but they had a karaoke pack and a TurboGrafx pack. And you can see here, there's a slot. You can put your Sega Genesis carts in there. This played Sega CDs, and it also played these Laserdisc games, like this one here, Pyramid Patrol, that I have running right here, which was very good for its time. We come up here and we have, let's see, we have a NEC PCFX, we have a Sony PlayStation 1, Sony PlayStation 2, Nintendo GameCube with Game Boy Player underneath there, if you see or notice, and got a couple of Wavebirds for that. Sega SG-1000 Mark II. Over here we have a regionally modified Sega Saturn. Plays Japanese or American games. This is another Sega Genesis with a 32X. Panasonic 3DO. Nintendo 64. Sega Mega Drive from Japan. Japanese PlayStation 1 NTSC-J. We have a Famicom and a Super Famicom here. We have an American Dreamcast, JVC XI, Sega CD clone, very rare. Here we have an Atari 800 XL computer with Atari 1050 disk drive. Hard to find those two. I actually got those separately from two different people. Commodore 64. And a Commodore
here's a Sony
VIC-20.
PS1 with its own screen built in. Not to be confused with this Sony PS1 that does not have its own screen built in.
The consoles.
Oh my God, how could I miss this? Jeez.
Atari 2600, Atari 7800 Pro System. Here's the controller for the 7800. Here's the controller for the 2600. Sega Master System 2. Here's a controller for that. I can't believe I missed the Atari 2600, the Atari 7800, and the Sega Master System 2. Well, now they're in there, and I apologize. Okay, we're keeping her pretty tight here. Here we go. Some handhelds. Alright, we're doing, let's see, we got the original Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Light, Japanese import, has a backlight on it. Other Game Boys do not. Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, a couple of them there. Game Boy Micro, Game Boy Advance SP, a couple of them. Here's the NES Collector's Edition. Nintendo DS, Nintendo DS Lite, Nintendo DSi, Nintendo DSi XL, Nintendo 3DS. Alright, all things Nintendo. Very good. Okay, some more handhelds. A Sega Game Gear. Sega Nomad. Plays Genesis carts, very rare. Atari Lynx. Yeah, PC Engine GT. This is the PC Engine handheld. Plays the same games as a PC Engine. Import from Japan. Very rare and can also, if you're not careful, be very expensive. A Wonder Swan. Another Wonder Swan. Wonder Swan Color. Watada Supervision from China. Tiger Gamecom. Touchscreen system. Nokia N-Gage telephone. This is the Mark II. Okay, moving forward. This is a Hyperkin FC Mobile 2. This is an NES clone. It plays NES games via this slot up here on this thing here. Or you can connect it to a TV. You got your wireless controllers there and your light gun there. It's like an NES kit right there. This thing here is similar, but it doesn't have all the peripherals like this one does. This is a, I guess this is just a regular old Hyperkin. Whatever. Does the same thing, except without all the peripherals. Plays NES games right here. This is a Westminster Pocket Arcade, 256 games in one. Uses a black LCD, like dots, to simulate this or that, giving you different impressions of things. This is a Mattel Classic Basketball with the little diodes that run up there to the basket. And this isn't a video game system, but I think I'm going to throw this in here. This is a Vugo. This is made in the early 2000s. You could record TV with this. All of these things, of course, work. Everything that I'm showing you today works just fine. This plugs into a television, and you can record television shows and take them on the go. The only problem is the video display on this is horrible. You can barely see anything. Takes SD cards. Okay, here's some strange little odds and ends for you here. This is a Power Joy. This thing is made in Brazil. As you see, it has a light gun type thing here. Plugs. You just plug it right on into your standard television. Got to use a CRT TV though, because HD TVs don't pick up light gun activity. This has built-in games, as well as a slot for Famicom games. Famicom, not NES games. This is an Atari Pong device. This was made a little bit more recently, actually. This has Pong and like several other built-in games. Again, it plugs into a TV. I think it might have Breakout on there or something else like that. This is a Commodore 64 game emulator. These two things are both emulators, by the way. This is a Commodore 64 gaming emulator. It's got some, like about 8 or 10 Commodore 64 games built into it, and it emulates that just like that. These things are strange. Every single time I do this, I forget something. I forgot this. How could you forget the SNK Neo Geo Pocket Color? There's Here we have some Sega VMUs. These actually could be used as game systems also. They have controllers here and buttons. You could raise your Chow from Sonic Adventure,
And there were like little Snake games and primitive cell phone games and stuff you could get from some of the other disc games that you had on your Dreamcast. Kind of interesting. I have the red, white, and blue, but the white one's not really white. It's more like poop. Okay, we're moving back into this Millennium here. This is, yeah, you can see me reflecting off of this thing, can't you? This is an Acer Iconia 501 tablet, 10.1 inch, high-res screen. Not the greatest way to play games in the world, but it does have some games that look quite good, actually. This is an iPod Touch. Again, not the greatest way. These things don't have tangible buttons. I'd rather play on a system that has buttons on it. This is a PSP Go. Okay, and it went all right. This is a regular PSP. This is the Mark II? Or maybe it's the Mark III, I forget. I had a Mark I that died. I think my Mark II might have died too. This might be a Mark III. Irrelevant. And of course the all-new PS Vita. And here you can see the difference in the size of the two things. The two things definitely, the Vita is definitely larger than the PSP. And it has the sticks, whereas this has just one little nub. It's definitely a better design. And with that, I do believe that I've come to an end of everything. If I have forgotten anything, I will tack it on. I still have time before I edit all this to tack it on. If I remembered everything, then this really is the end. Thanks for watching. Tune in next year when I'll have even more stuff.